The following is a fan-made project. All My Little Pony programs, comic books, and related merchandise are owned by Hasbro Incorporated and its affiliates. Please support the official release.
Let me introduce you to one of my creations. You, of all people, will be able to appreciate this. A chimera.
Family fun.
だからハイハイハイ幸せがきっとハイハイハイ歌い出す輝いてるこの季節に胸が踊るの
Does anyone else realize that this is the first real episode to focus on Applejack and Apple Bloom's relationship? Their relationship has been shown to be less dysfunctional than Rarity and Sweetie Belle's, but AJ was established to be a bit overprotective of Apple Bloom. Quite honestly, I'm surprised it took them this long to cover it. This is also another episode breaking in a new writer, Scott Sonneborn. Scott is an experienced writer who has worked on shows like Celebrity Deathmatch, Generator Rex, and Skunk Fu. Interesting resume? Let's see if he impresses or disappoints. The episode begins with the Apple family having a meeting to decide whether or not to let Apple Bloom stay home alone for an afternoon. Now, I've heard plenty of people complain about this because Apple Bloom has wandered around town on her own before. I'm sorry, but being on your own and taking care of a whole farm are two completely different things. Sweet Apple Acres is huge, with a lot of chores to do on it. I mean, did you think Big Mac always stayed behind from the big events for kicks and giggles? You city folk don't think that a farm covering several acres might have a lot to do on it? Also, the list AJ gives Apple Bloom has 173 items on it. Use your heads, people! I like how responsibly Apple Bloom handles things. She does her chores like a responsible little filly. Once all that is done, she does all the stuff kids love to do when they're in charge. Playing music real loud, stand on furniture, you know, all that good stuff. Unfortunately, Applejack had to make a mad grab for the idiot ball. She heads back, completely forgetting the important delivery she had to make, and starts babying Apple Bloom over spilling cold soup. No joke, that's actually what happens. AJ's behavior here is way too far out of line. This is one of the cases where I will accept usage of the word flanderization, because it's really not character splicing. It would make more sense for her to act like something like this if Apple Bloom had actually broken a leg or something. Thankfully, Apple Bloom is just as annoyed by this as we are and calls her friends over to come up with a plan. Apple Bloom decides to sneak out and deliver the pies that her sister was going to deliver, and Scootaloo pulls the old dummy under the sheets trick to make AJ think her sister is still there. Well, at least they aren't letting Sweetie Belle come up with the plans this time.
There's no one to deride me, but you gotta have friends. Stop singing!
But why doesn't Sweetie Belle throw together some sort of wig to make the illusion more complete? I know AJ has been acting stupid, but I'd expect her to remember that her little sister has red hair and doesn't have a horn. Eventually, Scootaloo gives them away. At least it wasn't your fault this time, Sweetie Belle. Applejack panics again, and at least this time it makes a certain degree of sense. She calls Rarity to look after the fillies, and no, they don't explain why she couldn't have done that in the first place. Then we cut to a volcanic coal field? Okay. While going through lethal lava land, Apple Bloom runs into a chimera voiced by Elaine Kenner. I'd make a Bible reference, but I don't think anyone will get it. Many have complained that the voice of the chimera totally takes away from the threatening aspect of it. I'd like to know how. Was it the chimera denying Apple Bloom any chance of talking her way out of trouble? Was it the chimera outright saying that she was going to murder her? With the snake's voice, I kinda get it. That one wasn't entirely threatening. But the tiger and goat voices were. Someone, please explain to me why it's okay for dragons, Awazoto, changelings, and diamond dogs to talk, but not this creature. This creature that, I might add, is a hoofed animal, all of which have been able to talk in this world. Now, I totally agree with all the critics about the shoehorned attempt to parallel the Apple sisters' relationship with the Chimera heads. It didn't really add anything and isn't focused on long enough to make the Chimera more interesting. Anyway, AJ shows up and uses her poke flute to put the snake to sleep. Then, wait, what? Why? Oh, just play the clip. So she thwarts the Chimera and learns a valuable lesson. Okay, to everyone who says that this is a terrible lesson because of this line,
And if you hadn't snuck out like you did, maybe I wouldn't have figured that out.
you're forgetting the line that just came before it.
But this don't change the fact that trying to make this delivery on your own was a plumb crazy thing to do. I bet Granny Smith grounds you for a month for sneaking out.
You're also forgetting two other things. First off, this isn't a kid's show. I thought the Chimera outright saying that she intended to burn Apple Bloom alive and eat her made that clear. This is a family-friendly show. The difference is that a family-friendly show is allowed to be more ambiguous because it's presumed that parents will watch the show with their kids and be there to answer any questions. So they're allowed to make the moral somewhat ambiguous. Second, kids aren't that stupid! Be sure to tell every 8-year-old you know that you think they're dumb enough to copy what they see a cartoon pony do on TV. I'm sure they'll call you a poo-poo head or whatever insults the kids are using these days. And as for the hillbilly ponies, is it racist? Yes. Yes, it is. Now, the main reason I took so long to write this video was because, although I liked the episode, I could tell there was something wrong with it. Something no one else seemed to notice, and I had to figure out what it was. And I think I've got it. This was really 2 episodes, haphazardly smashed together. The first episode is the Apple Bloom is in charge episode, while the second is the pie delivery episode. I'm not sure if either idea was Sonneborn's, but putting both together sounds like a committee decision. Like they didn't want to throw away one of these ideas or save it for season 5. So they just put it on the new guy to try to make a full episode of both ideas. And it just doesn't work. Think about it. If they stuck with the Apple Bloom is in charge idea, they could have made it more like Squid's Day Off. Have whatever was going to make Applejack leave the farm get canceled, but have her initially decide to just relax around town and leave things to Apple Bloom. Then, like Squidward in that SpongeBob episode I referenced, have her constantly check on her sister for increasingly stupid reasons. This would take care of the problem with AJ's behavior in the episode, because more time could be spent developing that behavior, time that was spent establishing the Chimera. If they stuck with the pie delivery idea, the conflict could have been about Apple Bloom wanting to deliver the pies on her own. Naturally, Applejack would disagree, but Apple Bloom, thinking she was just being a detective, would sneak off on her own. This would allow more time to develop the Chimera as a character, or characters, or whatever, and require a completely different moral, which would take care of several other problems the episode had. It would also give an actual point to the Chimera having a voice. The Chimera having a voice, well, I don't think detracts from its threateningness. It doesn't really add much either. I can't really blame Somepony entirely for this episode, since he was given the short end of the stick here. He has written another episode that's coming up, so we might get a better idea of what his writing abilities are. Until then, I have to give this episode a 2.5 out of 5. There's a lot to hate about this episode, but there's also a lot to love. The humor is mostly good, the animation is great, the voice acting is spot on, and AJ looks great in her hot boots. Get it? See, they're fireproof, so they're hot boots. But boots are also sexy, so they're hot boots.
I'll be right back.
Bring some new jokes.
Trust in me, just in me. Shut your